Hi, my name is Tiara Willis. Welcome to the Ambassadress podcast. I have a special message for you today, but before we get started, I have to let you know you can find me on Anchor Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. Just click the link in the bio of this episode and it'll lead you directly to wherever you would like to go. So without further ado, let's get into the episode.
You're busy wondering, how could God ever love me? How could he ever call me his own when God has already stated that he knew the decisions you would make and still he picked you to be made in the likeness of his son? God knew you would be imperfect. He knew you would need his help. And even knowing your beginning from your end, God chose not to leave you in the state that you were in, but chose to give you a life greater than you could imagine.
God can deliver us from anything, but sometimes we get so caught up in our bad choices that we're too ashamed to take what God is freely giving. Honestly, it's hard to believe that a perfect and righteous God would be willing to call us his own after we've given him so many reasons as to why to give up on us. Yet and still God's word says in Romans chapter 8, verse 29, for whom he did foreknow, he did also predestinate to be conformed into the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. You're busy wondering, how could God ever love me? How could he ever call me his own when God has already stated that he knew the decisions you would make and still he picked you to be made in the likeness of his son? God knew you would be imperfect. He knew you would need his help. And even knowing your beginning from your end, God chose not to leave you in the state that you were in, but chose to give you a life greater than you could imagine. So why would God choose me? Why wouldn't he choose a person that would be less sinful? Why wouldn't he choose a person that wouldn't have to learn the same lessons over and over again? Why wouldn't he choose a person more perfect than me? Why would he choose me? There are so many why questions that we could ask God because truly we don't deserve him. But God's answer to our whys is as simple as John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. God in his independent and unique nature doesn't need us for anything. And anything that he needs, he would be to himself. So God truly created us for his divine pleasure. Even though we failed to be faithful to him and we would always be the ones in need of his rescuing, God truly desires relationship with us, his creations, and he wasn't willing to allow anything to get in the way of that. This has been another great episode on the Ambassadress podcast, covering another segment of the Diary of a Christ Ambassadress. I want to encourage you to allow God fully into your life. He sees you just as you are, and he loves you deeper than you could ever know. Until next time.